I'm going to go very deeply into the science of spirituality, mindset, emotional intelligence. We're going to bring it all together under the umbrella of what I call human intelligence. Okay. So it encompasses the 360 perspective of your human design. So, welcome to today's session. Greetings. I see Renee, and I know we're warming up, but I'm going to dive deeply. I have my notes as always. I come prepared. I have my pen. You want to grab your pen as well. You want to take notes. So, yeah, a couple of things that I'm going to cover. I'm going to explain the concept of power. I'm going to talk about knowledge. I'll cover the human design, quantum leap human design based on biblical principles. Number four, I'm going to cover the principles of energetics, third, fourth, fifth dimension laws, very high level, right? I host classes in my school, Toyin Umesiri.academy, so you can dive deeper there. Number five, I'm going to talk about this concept of how emotions are created with the information you are processing with your energy. And it's also stored. So you carry a quantum computer that uses energy to process information, okay, to store information, to retrieve information, to transfer information. Is that when you think about sound waves, okay? There's a science to how we are designed, and I'm going to connect the dots for you. So I'm just laying down what I'm going to be covering today. You want to grab your pen, I have my notes. And then number six, I'll cover the power of stories. Okay, we think in stories, we produce stories, and they become instructions for you, for your life, and they provide directions on what your body will do and what other people, right? Even your relationships, how other people treat you, how they respond to you, how they react to you based on behavior is based on what you believe and your stories, the stories you are manufacturing. You experience life, okay, based on what you believe and what you're thinking that is happening. Listen, I'm going to dive deeper into that design. Okay. Number seven, I'm going to challenge you to really finish your unfinished business. That's emotional processing. Okay. Let me leave you with this thought before I go deeper into other areas. I'm super excited. Like I shared, I have my notes, so I'm running through it. I've organized my own story, okay, that I want to share with you. When I talk about finishing your unfinished business, think about your computer. If you have 10 tabs open, you're searching, you're doing something on your computer. Tab one, oh, this one, tab two. And the next time you want to open a tab, when your computer starts slowing down and cranky, finish your unfinished business is close your tabs. Do what it is you want to do with certain stories of your life, the stories of your childhood, unfinished deeds, the questions you have. Why did this person treat me this way? Why is life this way? All of those things, they are really holding on to your energetic vibration. What it means is that the processing capacity that you have, okay, when you start a story, when you start to think about certain things and you don't complete it with peace, you don't finish it, something happened to you 15 years ago, you're still carrying that story as an open book, you've not finished that chapter, you've not closed the book. Many people think 15 years ago is 15 years ago. I've explained before the concept of time. In the energetic fourth dimension, time is not when the earth is rotating. Time is literally a time stamp in your memory. It's just like if you have a computer. What you stored last year, you created the file last year. The file is still in your system. You can search for it, you can retrieve it. The timestamp of when it was created is what is kept behind. What you created on your computer a year ago is still in your computer unless you delete it, you file it away, you store it properly. So many times people think the past is beyond them. Oh, 20 years ago. No, the past is still energetically active. And this is the concept of memory. You can retrieve memory, you can remember, and the same emotions that you experienced 15 years ago can be reproduced in your system, and you can experience 15 years ago in the moment. So, finishing your unfinished business. Number 7, I'll go deep dive into why emotional processing is actually for you to gain serious awareness and knowledge about the things happening within you that is bringing you pain, that is bringing you trauma, all of those things that is activated, that continues to reproduce a certain pattern that you do not want anymore. If you don't finish it, it repeats until you finish it. Patterns repeat, stories repeat, even generationally. Some people are living, okay, the patterns of their parents, of their grandparents. The stories they started, they didn't finish, they pass it on. They didn't finish, they pass it on. Part of the journey of emotional processing is to check in again. Whatever stories may not even be your reality, but it becomes your reality if you don't finish it. So we're going to go into that. So close the tabs, tune your engine. I'm going to talk about emotional processing through the lens of like your car. When you start hearing thoughts on noise and wah, 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 guess what? I call in my sky saying wah, wah. Thoughts you don't want to produce, you don't want to be a part of your life. This is the time you want to understand the human design that I teach in my school so that you have the skills to process your emotions, understand yourself, gain self awareness, self mastery, and develop the power to deal with your stuff. There was a session material I released in my school. I talk about better than therapy. Therapy is one of the skills. However, you developing the skills to provide self therapy. What I teach is self therapy. It's like you need a dentist, but at least learn how to take care of your teeth every day. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It's like if you understand what your energy and your power is producing and you can gain mastery over them, you minimize, okay, you minimize the occurrence of the need for professionals. You become the professional. But I'll go deeper into it. And then search and neutralize, make room for God. I'll cover that. Okay. You see, it's packed. Greetings again. Hi, Jermaine. Good to see you. Everybody ready to go? That was just an intro or highlights what I'm going to cover. And then my students will have access to notes that will be developed to support this deeper dive. Okay, let's start. Okay. Number 1, the concept of power. You see, you are a powerful being. You were created powerful. In fact, you are a vessel created to contain God. Let that sink in. You are a vessel designed by God for God to contain God. So God designed a vessel that can hold himself. One of the things though, like, listen, this is so exciting. I'm going to take my time to provide some juiciness. This is in particular for those who want to do big things upon the earth. If you have big assignments and you've said yes to your assignment, welcome, you need this. This is a must. The concept of power is a spiritual force. Power emanates in the spiritual. Just God is a powerful being. You are a powerful being. What he did, particularly for those who are Christians after the fall, what God did is that as humans, the human side of you, you need to ask for power. Okay. Ask and you shall receive. Is that you have a power bank. Okay? You are a powerful being. The way you draw from your power is with knowledge. Power is released when you have knowledge, with knowledge. Power is withdrawn with knowledge. Like if I tell you there's money in a bank, yes, there's money in the bank, but who has authorization? Who has a right to access what's in that bank? And what tools do you use to access to withdraw money? You write a check, and the check must be authenticated. And the money in the bank must already have been allocated to the person who wrote the check. If you write a check you have not been given power to produce, they will cancel. That's why in the spiritual side, if you don't have access through the blood of Jesus, there are many things in God's kingdom you cannot produce. Okay? Remember, I'm going to go spiritual psychology, like, because you need to understand spiritual dimension. I teach it through the lens of the Christian faith. Jesus told the disciples, he gave them an assignment, but he said, wait a minute, before you start running all over the place, right? You need power. Okay? You need power. I'm going to allocate power. I'm going to give you power to produce certain results. Power is a gift. Okay? Power is a gift that is allocated to those who want to produce, who God has assigned to produce certain things on earth. And power is unlocked with knowledge. God does not release power to ignorant people. Why? You will destroy yourself and others in the process. It's like fire. It takes maturity to handle power because you're a powerful being. That's why when we talk about maturity, spiritual maturity, emotional maturity, intellectual maturity, physical maturity, is that when you grow, you open the lock to receive your inheritance, to receive more of what already belongs to you. If you don't grow, they are waiting for you. You mature into receiving power to produce. The power God releases to a 1-year-old versus a 30-year-old, the allocation of power that a 1-year-old can use is not the same as what God will release to a 30-year-old. So even in spirituality, right, is that power is released when people mature spiritually, when you understand, when you know what you're doing, and you understand the implications of what you're doing, and you can handle what God is about to give you, and you won't mess it up, you won't mess yourself up, you won't mess it, then you've grown up and God can give you more gifts of power. It's not that he's holding it back, it's that your lack of growth, people's lack of growth, people's lack of knowledge already closes them away from, right, receiving what is already theirs. That's why God said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Is that he is available, power is available, power is in a way, if I say it is free in the spiritual dimension, it is yours. Let me just put it that way. It is yours. Power is yours. The way you receive it is you grow up, you mature to receive your inheritance. The more you grow, the more access you have. So knowledge is how you access power. I've said that, okay? Those who don't have knowledge or have limited knowledge or have the wrong knowledge, that is one of the reasons, some form of powerlessness. Oh, stuck. Right? Because lack of power has serious implications on what you can produce and the reality you would experience. Okay? Because without knowledge, okay, you can't access power. Without power, where are the abilities to produce? So knowledge is optional. In fact, because there's also a knowledge bank that you are supposed to fill up. There's a power bank. So I'm going to talk about fourth dimension, fifth dimension, third dimension laws. In the fifth dimension, where the spiritual is, you have a power bank, you have a knowledge bank. When you fill up your knowledge bank, God will deposit power. When you fill up knowledge, you will receive power. Why? In order to produce, because in this world, you can produce anything you want. You have to decide what you want to produce. That's your knowledge. You go in search of the knowledge that will enlighten you on what you want to produce. That's why knowledge seekers ought to be intentional. It's not just a matter of everything goes. No, intentionality around this is what you want to produce. Go in search of the knowledge to produce it. When you do that intentionally, the power to produce that knowledge will be given to you. The power to gain wealth, the power to do this, the power is grouped, just like knowledge is grouped. The knowledge of chemistry, the knowledge of biology. When you grab knowledge of a dimension, power is released into that bucket to produce, because now you know. When you know, you receive power to create what you know. Okay? When you understand, when you are enlightened, when you can see, when you understand, power is released into the dimension of your understanding. When you don't understand, oh, what do you want? You don't know. Where are you going? You don't know. Whoa. You are not yet, your bucket of knowledge is still leaking, or is not full, or is you've mixed it up with stuff. And so people who don't go in search of knowledge, who don't fill their knowledge bank, will not be able to understand how to do anything they want to do. And so when you don't know what you are doing, power is waiting. Power will wait for you until you figure out the knowledge to produce. Because what you want to produce requires you to know. You have to know. You can't roam into this world stumbling on. Nobody stumbles on anything, because in the third dimension there are gatekeepers, energetic gatekeepers. You won't see things that is not in you. Okay, I can talk on that topic like for days and days and days and days. So I'm just like, enough. Let's keep that there. Knowledge helps you receive the power to produce. Knowledge helps you to receive the power to produce. No knowledge, no power. Little knowledge, little power. Wrong knowledge, wrong this. Fifth dimension. In the fourth dimension, when you have knowledge and you receive power, the physics equation. Now, let me bring science, physics in. Power equal to, power produces energy. Energy is the force of creativity. When you go to your bank, you go to power bank, you go to real bank, what the bank produces, what comes out of the bank is coins, money, dollar, right? What is stored inside power is energy, the force. And when you spend energy, energy is the ability to do work. So whatever work you're going to do, action you have to take, there's the spiritual force of power. But in the fourth dimension, this is where I say you cook. This is where you cook the food. This is where you consume energy. This is where you allocate energy. This is where you design. This is where you create. You create the plan, the game plan that you want to produce in third dimension. This is where you want to know when, how, who, where, what. What do you want? This is the realm of belief, thinking, mind, productivity. Right? The metaphysical side, where you allocate energy, the power release, the permission given to you to create. In the fourth dimension, this is where you design, you decide, you design, you conclude, you make decisions on how you're going to spend your energetic currency given to you. This is where work is done. Many people try third dimension to do things they've not done in fourth dimension. It doesn't work that way. What you haven't received or believed, you can't produce in third dimension. And those who do not master this realm of fourth dimension will be told what to do, will be directed by somebody else who understands strategy, who has intentionality, who has vision, who has a mission. In the fourth dimension is where you decide mission, vision, right? This is where you collect everything. This is the realm of ownership. This is the wealth center of humanity. This is where wealth is designed. Those who don't own fourth dimension become actors of somebody else's dream. Yeah, somebody who dreamt, who has vision, who has mission, will pull on everybody who doesn't have it and tell you and find a contract and say, if you do this, I'll do this for you. And then everybody becomes an actor instead of a visionary. So visionaries use fourth dimension to intentionally design the world they want to live in. And then in the third dimension, they produce it. You create first. In the fourth dimension, you believe, right? That's where your quantum particles, right? Because you're going to give instruction on what your energy should produce. That's thinking. Okay, people who don't sit down to think enough. Thinking is the real work. Doing, you can tell somebody what to do, but who know what to do, when to do, how to do it. That's the real work for wealth builders. Yeah. Otherwise, somebody else, go and serve somebody else. But if you want to own, fourth dimension is your key to unlock success. Okay, I know I've said a whole lot in just 20 plus minutes. So let me keep bringing this together, okay? Power, knowledge. Knowledge is a ledge. It moves you from the realm of unknown to known. When you find yourself in the world of unknowns, question mark. How do you do this? Question. You don't know. Where do you want to go? You don't know. How do you produce it? You don't know. That's the realm of complaining. People who don't have knowledge complain. Because if you have knowledge, you'll be moving forward. If you know where you're going and you know how to get there and you have everything you need to get there, why are you complaining? Like, nobody's in your way. When you have knowledge and you have capacity to produce, nobody stops you from producing in this world. Get it right. If you have knowledge and power, you can produce results. The knowledge you have with the power you have, nobody holds you from producing it. When people, however, have not pursued knowledge, they want magic. They don't want to invest in knowledge. They don't want to be a student of life. They don't want to master topics that is beyond them. Knowledge that is beyond you means it is outside of you. It's outside your realm of productivity. You cannot produce out of thin air. Even spiritually, Bible says it hasn't entered the mind of heart of man what God has planned. When God is ready to reveal what he has planned for you, you must come and receive it. You must still understand. Okay? It has to come into your realm for you to say yes, because God does not impose his will on man. He doesn't. He has his will for you, his design for you. That knowledge, you must seek it. If you want to know what God has for you, you have to go and ask for that knowledge. No matter how spiritual you are, if you want to live the life and produce the reality, you have to get the game plan, the roadmap, the destination, destiny, the design plan for your life. If you don't know it, you can't live it. This is something for listen, many people, please understand spiritual laws. David still has to be anointed. Joseph still has to know. Moses has to be called. When Gideon has to be called. Mary had to be told God's plan for her. Jesus had to study. to show himself, right? He had to study who he was. When you show up to this world, okay, and you refuse to study who you are, who your God is, how this world works, how to talk to people, how to do things, to gain abilities, what are you doing? Like, I mean, enjoy what you enjoy at the level of where you are. But I'm listening that those who are Christians, if you say you are a Christian, please understand the spiritual side of you needs knowledge to produce results. You need knowledge and power to produce results. And you can be sitting on power because you don't have knowledge. And yet, in the third dimension, people go, oh, listen, you need power and knowledge to produce. Power and knowledge to produce. Those are the two banks. This is the wealth of your spiritual force. Whenever you pray, 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 pray. You see, you do 40, right? Jesus did 40 days. Listen, this is the currency of the spiritual side. In the physical world, everybody's saying money. The whole physical world people is organized around money, this. That's the physical dimension. However, in the spiritual dimension, the currency of your wealth is your power and your knowledge. And you use your will to make decisions on how you want to spend those two. Okay? So that's the wealth. When you pray, 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 all of your prayer will land in those two things. More power, more knowledge. More power, more knowledge. How did God create the whole earth? The Spirit of the Lord, right, went on the surface of the earth and God spoke. God spoke with design, knowledge of what he wanted. Let the earth do this. Let the moon produce this way. Let the sea be like this, produce fish, birds in the air. Knowledge is how you paint. That's how you use your power to produce. But what do you want your power to produce? You have to decide. So you are a vessel of God, created to contain God. And the way you spend what God has for you is through your decisions. Okay? And then in the fourth dimension, your decisions, your conclusions, those are your beliefs. That's what is true for you. Not just what is true out there, what you collect energetically and you put inside you is what you're going to produce. And this is where intentionality comes in, because many people, they've just opened themselves up. People are just pouring stuff in them. They're not intentional to sort through life, to decide, to make decisions. And this is where the realm of knowledge and wisdom, okay, comes in, is that there is knowledge that allows you to see what is possible. What you choose to make possible for you is with intentionality, is based on decisions that you make, and that cannot be imposed. Nobody, right? This is where, when I teach on boundaries, spiritual boundaries, emotional boundaries, intellectual boundaries, physical boundaries, that nobody's supposed to touch, make you produce what you don't want to produce. However, people do that because of ignorance, not knowing. Okay, so let me keep moving. If you have questions, drop your questions. If you have comments, drop that as well. Again, I'm talking about activating the power of emotional processing and healing. I'm laying the foundation, and then I'll build on emotions processing and all of that. Because if you take your car to a mechanic that doesn't know anything about cars, he won't know what to look for, meaning there's no knowledge. So if I tell you emotion is this, if you've not built it on this foundation, people go, "Oh, emotions, emotions, emotions," right? Ignorance is why people belittle emotions, because when power is coming from your fifth dimension, and power produces energy in the fourth dimension, and energy is the ability to do work. When all of that power lands on your physical frame, what it produces is emotions. How you experience power is emotions in the physical world, in the third dimension. And emotions open the lock to this world. And also, it is how you store and retrieve memory. And if you are using the wrong energy with the wrong information and you're thinking all of them, you are producing the wrong results. What do I mean by wrong results? I'm using wrong result like nobody's wrong because this thing works, positive or negative. Let me say unintended consequences. There are unintended consequences when people, and this is where the world, the next level of human intelligence is that we all, because of lack of education in this space, we've been creating collectively unintended consequences because this connection I'm making, this is revelation. And when power is released and you produce energy and you use the energy to process specific types of information, the consequence of that processing, that activation on your body, on third dimension, on you, and what you transfer to other people and the world, that's emotion. You experience it. Emotions, your central nervous system, your endocrine system. Okay, those things receive power from fourth dimension, the stories, the information you are processing. When it lands in the physical world, that's how you are fueling your cells, the energy you're feeding your cells based on the action you're taking and the stories you believe and your behavior. That's the natural world. That's what happens in the natural. So the moment you wake up to realize that you are the one driving your own emotions, consciously or unconsciously, you need to be more conscious. Okay? You need to know how to reverse, you know, process it, and change your mind. This is where you say forgive, let go, detach, attach. This is where the work is. Once you wake up and you realize your own emotion is your own business, let other people handle their own emotions. That's their own business. You can't control somebody else's emotion, but you can control yours. And this is how we impact each other. Emotional regulation. I talk about emotional hygiene. This is what we are doing to each other. Because as beings, living beings, how we express and our energetic disposition, they show up as emotions and feelings. Feelings is tied to your central nervous system, right? Emotions is produced, your hormones, right? The chemical concoction created and deposited into your bloodstream to feed your cells as you're taking action. This is how you consume energy, right? You eat food, you extract energy. That energy is stored until you use it. How you use energy is what creates emotions. And the one you experience positively, love, joy, happiness, when you're doing things, when you're dancing, you're feeding yourself positive concussion of hormones. The energy your body right, your cells are receiving is pleasurable, is giving life. Okay. When you're doing something else, you've written a script and a story that makes you upset, da 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 da. Your cells experiences those as well. So the human design, spiritual fifth dimension, emotional soul, right? Fourth dimension. Third dimension is physical body. And the fifth dimension is connected to the fourth dimension with hearts. When we talk about in the Bible, when Bible Jesus said, guard your heart, for out of it are the issues of your life. Was it Jesus that said that? It's in the Bible somewhere. Okay? Guard your heart, renew your mind. Your heart is how you receive the power coming from your spiritual. You allocate, okay, what you want to create to it. True thinking, what do you want to create with your will, with your desire. You create desire. Desire is loaded with information on what you want. Okay? What you want. And excuse me, the intensity you also want desire also determines the strength of the energy allocated to it. Yep. So not all things have the same desire. And I want you to also think about your desires becomes your emotions. They are expressed emotionally later. When desire is fulfilled, emotions is expressed. Those are the indicators how your body, your third dimension, your body communicates back to your spiritual side, to your emotional side, that, oh, we got what you said you wanted, we've done the work. Did you receive it? So there's a lot of signals sent back and forth. That's why processing it is to make sure, did you have the wrong desire or the wrong information, or did you use the wrong energy, and what have you stored? So this concept of energetics is really mastering what you're using your energy to produce, first inside yourself, then in the world around you, because other people experience your emotions as well. Every relationship is held together emotionally, let's say energetically, right? Because relationship creates emotion. The people in your life, they can be giving you good vibes, good emotions, concussion, or they can be throwing you off. Because it's not just physical, it's in the fourth dimension that you make an emotional connection with other people, right? And so the thoughts they feed you and the energetic vibration they send you, when you receive that information and you process the information they're presenting to you, okay, what you do with that information, how you store it, how you respond to it, okay, that's the health of your relationship. Let me also share something quickly. If you're not in my school, one of the things I tell people is that I'll share two things in this space. Logic. Many people attempt to use logic to explain emotions. That's one. Many people's logic are based on ignorance. Logic is not the problem, because logic is, if this, then this. If that, then this. Input, process, output. Logic is simple. If this happens, oh, then this must be what happens. Conclusion. Oh, then do this. But if your conclusion is based on wrong information, or incomplete information, or immature information of your childhood, that means your conclusion is immature, incomplete. And so if you now send all of this incomplete conclusion into your body, into the third dimension, and so your body is now wired and programmed to be producing, why? You submitted. You have to do this processing work again, because God made man to make decisions on what man wants to produce. That's the power of your will. God will not override your will. He will appeal to you. He will present to you. If you ask God, He will tell you, this is what I want you to do. These are my plans for you. However, you've got to receive it. This is how God distinguishes Himself for the man from the man He made. Because if God overrides your will, that means you don't have a choice. But you do have a choice. And exercising that choice as consequences, you must also be ready to stand by. When a child is a baby, the parents bear the consequences, because people say, oh, the child didn't know. The child didn't know. Oh, nobody questions a child. Why are you playing like that? People just understand the child is lacking, full grasp of the consequences of his behavior. You grow older and you're still behaving like a child. People are like, wait a minute, who is training you? Who hasn't trained you? Who didn't finish the training? Yeah, it's time to finish your finished business. The behavior that you was inherited or programmed in childhood, when you realize it's not going to take you to the heights of success, or it will not allow you, or it makes you mismanage power. Because when power comes, greater power, listen, level up. Level up. You can't listen, fight. Okay, let me keep moving. Greetings, everybody. Okay, so number 5, let me drop down to number 5 here. Emotions created by the informations you are processing. Okay, there's a whole, so I'm trying to also layer on many things in my school. On one side, we have the human intelligence, human design, 7 classes to unlock the power of human design, biblical human design. On the other side, I also have tools on emotional processing. And so I'm trying to connect the two for you, how they are related. If you go to your mechanic and your mechanic says, "Oh, you need oil," okay, why, right? It's like I want people to also understand why is this important, not just what is this, why. That's why I'm going deeper into explaining the design, right? A well-oiled engine will move faster. When you start hearing the engine go, you go, okay, what's missing? More oil. Is that particularly in midlife, okay? Particularly in midlife, behaviors people inherited, people have been carrying around from childhood, stories of these, interpretations of life, decisions made previously, conclusions about life, instructions, direction, you've been programmed. So there is a programming right now that you are running. The person that you are, your identity is built on this programming I'm talking about. Who you say you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you attract, what you're not attracting. The person that you've become is rooted on the programming you've received, the stories you believe, and the ones you're manifesting with your life right now. And technically, unless you change any of that, you keep repeating those patterns on those stories. It's a repeat. Those stories keep repeating because your energy has been fused with those stories and your central nervous system has been mapped with triggers. When this happened, do this. When that happened, this. When this happened, trigger are pre-programs loaded in your system on how you're going to respond, how you should respond to specific circumstance of life. And those responses, if you designed it when you were a child or a teenager, the trigger, okay, what triggers your 16, 14-year-old, that trigger does not go away until you are done with that story. I'm going into processing now. You see, all the power you've been receiving, okay, and what you've been producing with your behavior. You use power, you consume power, you create energy in 4 dimension. You use energy, that's the ability to do work. The work you're going to do with your physical body, the behavior you're going to exhibit, the person you're going to, who you are, how you respond and react to life, what you pursue, what you desire, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, right? What moves you, right? What moves you to take action and what type of action you will take, what you're drawn to, what you will move away, who you are, the totality of who you are is a accumulation of programming, built up until now. And I'm also sharing that in the 3rd dimension, your body now, this is your body, the body that then receives all of the spiritual power, all the back end programming, decisions, thoughts. Your body bears the weight. First, your central nervous system is your electrical charge. It's like a house. But each room has a switch. Your nerves, they've been allocated to stories. Turn the lights on. Alexa, when I come in, turn the lights on. When somebody says this to you, shout back. Pre-programmed. It could be DNA, inherited programming, societal programming, conditions by things happening to you from your childhood. It could come from anywhere. The basic thing is you've been programmed to behave and respond to life a certain way. And your central nervous system has all the mapping of your subconscious programming because nerves have been allocated to activate your stories. And then based on that activation and the conclusion of that story, your hormones, your endocrine system have been designed to release a reward process. They will reward your cells for that behavior. That's the first reward. It will dose your cells, secretion, hormones, It will feed your cells. Thank you for producing that result. Here is your food, right? Your mitochondria, the signals, right? The cells that you are using to produce results. This is where addiction comes in. They are used to you behaving a certain way and feeding them a certain type of hormone. When you're angry, release this one, boom. When you're happy, release this one, boom. And so the cells responsible for producing specific results are now waiting, hungry. Feed, 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 feed us more. More, 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 more. But here is the key. Intentionality is what you've been doing from childhood. Is it going to take you there? What brought you here? Will it take you there? Because this is where behavioral science kicks in. Behavioral science at the cellular level and the nerves is what stories have activated you to behave the way you behave. Okay. And what conclusions do you have about life that is making you produce the emotions, right? That you are producing. And those two things in the natural, when you say self-control, many people try to control it in the natural. However, the spiritual side, the most powerful training that I give is leave your natural self alone. Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper. Okay? Go back to your heart, your energy bank. Search again. What do you believe? Because beliefs becomes feelings in the natural. You feel your beliefs. You feel it listen, when you are triggered, when you are activated, because it's like a car. Dun, 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 dun. When you start the car will move, ready to produce. And the way God designed us is that the miracle of God is you can produce many frequencies, energetic frequencies, whereas other created beings, living beings, God designed them and closed it up. They can't choose who to be. They can't choose what to experience. A fish is a fish, right? All of the other created beings, living organism, God made the choice for them and locked it up. Only man, the vessel of God, designed to carry God's image, God's spirit, has the power to be choosing energetic vibration. Today, tomorrow, happy, this. You are given a spectrum. You can choose how to what you want to learn, who you want to be, how you want to behave. That is the joy. That is the enjoyment. God gave you everything, a mind, a heart. Produce, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it. That's it. God gave you the tools to produce what you want to produce. Okay? To create. He gave you the tools to paint a picture, to dream dreams, to imagine, to create, to produce. That's why you give account. Why would you give God gave you power bank? You can load up knowledge bank, energetic bank, information bank, story bank, this bank, abilities, and you are here, you are doing everything. And God is watching. One day will be like, okay, when all is said and done, come and give account. Here's the movie. Here's the story you produce. You said this is this. You said this is that. Okay. You said this is that. Okay. So you did this. And because of this, you did this. Because you said this person did this to you. So you did that. Okay. I'm watching your movie. This is how you treated yourself. Treated this person. Okay. Your production screen right in front of you. I come quickly. My reward is with me to give according to everybody's works. Your works can be more intentional if you understand the principles of what I'm teaching. And one of the places to see your report card is your emotional bank. Test it right now, emotionally. What are you producing, and the people around you, what are they enjoying? Because that's how you spend your energy. All of the power God gives you, your decision, you spend it emotionally. That is your energetic currency. And in the wealth creation domain, those emotions and feelings become your attraction. They will determine who wants to be around you, who wants to live with you, who wants to be in relationship with you. Because every single person is carrying their stories around, and their mind is searching, who will help me produce this story? And so if you are busy producing negative stories, people who don't want to produce that with you, repel. You are producing positive story, attract. Your attraction is built on the emotions you are feeding yourself, because that is what you're about to feed other people that are in relationship with you. People come close to you. They feel you a little bit. They're like, stay away. Only the people that can tolerate people's nonsense can stay around them. And so I'm saying, clean up your nonsense, have less nonsense. When you own your stuff and you're like, are you digestible today? Bring it down. Clean up your central nervous system. Check the story you are believing. Wow, is the government really that? Is this men are really that? Women are just all kinds of can stories. People are like, that's why God will say, who told you that? Adam, who told you? Who told you you're naked? Who told you men are that? Who told you women are that? Where is this story coming from? Because stories that are beneath the God dimension of man, they create a very low vibration life. And that's why God will say, when you start sounding, this is the real fight. Emotional processing is how you deal and fight off low vibration. You move away from the realms of low vibration, because low vibration attracts people of the same feather. How this flock together is that people who do government is attraction.